I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between, using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go. Welcome back, y'all.
Yeah, we just took a smooth bye week. No warning.
And you know what? There might be more. I'm on the move these days. So,
you know what? I mean, I just be doing what my executive producers say we're doing, and that's how it works.
Yes, it's true. Well, appreciate your flexibility, sis.
You
We
know.
are a couple time zones away, more so
Mhm.
than usual.
Yep, I ain't mad at it either. I'm glad that you are out here living your life like it's golden.
Yes, thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm out in Hawaii,
Ooh,
just enjoying my time in the Pacific.
nice.
Although it's been like really stormy.
What?
This last week, something called a Kona low,
Okay.
some very intense low pressure system that dumped a lot of rain over the islands this past week. So thankfully, I have been safely sheltered with power,
Okay.
you know,
Which island are you on?
Oahu.
Oahu. That's
Mhm.
like the one where like Waikiki and all that stuff is,
Exactly.
Honolulu and all that.
The main hotspots.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Oh, that's good. I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. How are you today on a scale of 1 to 5?
Um, 4.8.
Oh, that's high. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in Hawaii. I'm on break, but there's still always the necessary navigating of finding peace within myself,
Uh-huh.
still in the process of untethering myself from all the systems that I'm trying to take a break from.
Oh,
I
wow.
actually finally in March deleted my email from my phone, which was in my
Wow.
mind a big move.
That is a very big move.
Hmm.
I'm like, I had a little wave of panic rush over me just from you saying, I'm just like, damn, really?
I mean, it doesn't mean that I won't get on it on my computer every so often, but I don't need to be checking it like every day, like multiple times a day.
No, you do not.
How have you been
Yeah.
doing?
I am good. I am, funny you would mention that it is raining there because I am in that funky juxtaposition between joy and pain being like sunshine and rain.
Mm,
We are recording this on the Monday of match week. Match Monday is the day that people find out if they indeed matched for a residency program or if they did not. And I am mostly receiving very elated text messages from people saying, I matched. But I have received a few where people did not match. And it's pretty devastating, to not match. So, and I realized something. Like stuff hits totally different when it is like when you're sort of in like a mentor or a mom or auntie role. People like not getting what they want when they worked for it. It is, you just feel so protective of them and you want to try to fix it. And we just can't fix everything. So yeah, that's been a bit of a challenge and kind of
yeah.
sad for some learners. But, when you're as old as me, after time, you start to realize that people get to the other side of the complicated. And
Mm,
there are legions of people who did not match the first time, or who did not get in medical school the first time, or who did not win at whatever thing they were trying to do the first time. And whatever that moment of no was, it's just a blink on the radar. They are living their
yeah.
lives and thriving. But you don't know that in the moment. In the moment, it just feels like the end of the world. So if you're listening to this and you did not match, I'm sorry, man. I am so sorry you did not match and that this non-repeatable life event was snatched away from you. But what I can tell you is that you will have a testimony And with that testimony, it is one that if you did not have it, it might make you a completely different person or the kind of person that doesn't get to do a thing that you do get to do because of it. Sometimes failure can like open a door to something, or it can send you in a direction that is not the direction that you would have thought for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's such an important message.
Yes. Well, as you know, you might not know this. Do you know I've been like on this kick where every month I'm doing some sort of fitness challenge and I got everybody and their mama looped into it.
I may have noticed a post or two.
So last month it was the American Heart Association 1,000 push-up challenge.
Hmm.
I got all these people to do that with me. This month, I decided that we were going to plank for 100 minutes in the month of March. So
Hmm.
that's roughly about a little over 3 minutes of planking per day. So I got all these people planking, which is great. And then I just saw on social media that the American Heart Association has a 1,500 squat challenge from April. My friends don't know it yet, but they about to do that next.
See, I missed the push-up challenge. When I saw that 3-minute plank, I was like, I'm gonna wait for April.
What?
So
Well, we squatting in April.
I can do the
15,
squats. I'll do the
1,500
squats.
squats. So that's 50 squats a day.
50. Okay.
50
Okay.
squats a day. So you could do
Ooh,
10 sets of 10, 5 sets of 10 every day, or you could just
okay.
bust out 50 if you'd like that chick, you know.
I don't know if I'm that chick,
Um,
but I'm gonna try something.
but if you do 50 squats the first day and they're easy, then I expect you to add weight.
Naturally. Naturally, yes.
I expect you to challenge yourself. I do.
Yes.
I do.
Thank you. I'll personally send evidence to you wherever I am in the world.
Correct. Correct. Last time we talked, had I finished Can yet?
Oh no, I think you had just started it. So I had expected that we might, get some follow-up from you.
Have you read Can?
No, I'm working
Okay.
my way up to it.
Okay. So I finished Can by Tyree Jones
Hmm.
and I loved it. It was a great book. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. I love historic fiction. It wasn't completely predictable. I thought she did a really good job. You know, I recommend it. I would say check out Ken. The author is a HBCU alum. She's a graduate of Spelman College. And she is the author of a book called An American Marriage.
Yes. I love An American Marriage. Mostly set in Atlanta, if I'm remembering
Hmm.
correctly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've been excited for this book, so I'm glad it got your endorsement.
Yeah.
Well, I have been binge reading a lot during this season,
Okay.
but I think one that feels pertinent, especially with my time off. This is an oldie but goodie. Rest is Resistance by Trisha
Hmm.
Hersey,
Hmm.
the founder of the Nat Ministry.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm only like 1.5 chapters in, but it just hits deeper when I'm both physically and spiritually away from the institution that I work for. And a good read, but also a little bit of a tough read in terms of,
Mm.
how I'm thinking about my relationship to work and also
Mm.
what that has meant historically for my family and my ancestors.
Mm.
But I would still strongly recommend it, for folks when they're ready.
Yeah, well, shout out to Catherine, who is always hooking us up with all the links to
Amen.
stuff in the show notes.
Yes.
If y'all don't be looping back to look at the show notes, make sure you do, because Catherine Sorrentino, who is our team member, she dutifully adds that information for you all. So the things that we mention, usually right when we post it, it's not in the show notes. Usually you have to come back like a week later, but a lot of you all are like me and you're like behind a couple weeks, so it's all good. Kings, queens, and non-binary royalty. You know, as much as I would like to continue to have a book club with Ashley, that is not why you're here. No, it is not. You are here because you would like to hear a story from one of the globe-trotting, amazing, interplanet Janet, tree hugging, electric car driving, sabbatical taking, hard copy book reading,
Mm.
running marathons internationally and locally, treater of America's heroes
Mm,
at the VA, but not right now because she's on sabbatical. And that is Ashley McMullen telling you a story.
mm.
Yes, yes. So all that time that I gave as the run up, I hope and pray that this has led her to know what the what is. So tell the kings, the queens, and the non-binary royalty, and me too. What's
Yes.
the what?
The what for today is sustainability.
Oh, sustainability.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Thank you. What hangs on your heart and your mind when you hear the word sustainability?
It's funny when ability is on the end of sustainability, I immediately think of things related to the climate. But when I hear the word sustainable, I think of it as related to actions and energy.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
this is not sustainable, like something that you're at your wit's end. But something about adding that word ability on sustainability immediately makes me think of the climate and the Earth's resources.
Yeah, I love that because I've been thinking about that a lot too.
Hmm.
Particularly being here in the Hawaiian Islands. I love Hawaii. The first couple times I came here was, as a kid. And when I was coming at that point, I didn't know anything about the history,
Hmm.
other than kind of what's been watered down and digested. But now being here and, being friends with someone who lives locally, I've been thinking a lot about what this land meant and who was here before it became what it is now. And while I'm grateful for the privilege to be here, it's still hard to envision, long-term sustainability of, the tourism industry and how we continue to extract resources
Mm,
with the mindset that they're infinite.
right.
But sustainability for this story, I mean, in a similar vein, is just like, how much can I sustain in terms of, my productivity and my relationship to work?
So a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it got me thinking about my process of choosing the job that I have now and what have been sustainable practices going forward. And a lot of that has to do with some really good advice that I've gotten over the years. So I'm going to point some of those out too.
Okay.
But I'm going to start at the beginning of this process, which was kind of 2018, 2019, my chief year, which for me, kind of felt like the crowning achievement of over a decade of hard work. And for anybody who has, trained in our US healthcare system, it is a great process of delayed gratification
Hmm.
and this kind of understanding that, you're working hard towards something like, and it always, with the idea that it'll get easier down the line. And, every time you kind of climb that ladder, you'll have 2 seconds to celebrate before someone's asking you, what are you doing next?
Hmm.
What's your plan? What's your goal?
Hmm.
And so, I'd kind of been on that track, from college to medical school to residency and then chief year. I was meeting these metrics and these expectations. And I kind of assumed that my next move would be a job at the place where I was a chief resident, which was the General Hospital,
Hmm.
the county safety net in San Francisco, which I still love immensely and have a great fondness for both the patients and the mission and the folks who work there, especially the staff and the nurses. But, as a chief, I've talked to this in various capacities, but that was a really tough year for me. I think it was my first real sense of awareness around this idea of sustainability. There was a lot of personal stuff going on that made that hard. But at the same time, I had my clinic there in the evenings. And, I was also for the first time attending on the wards and doing a lot of teaching. And again, a lot of the stuff I really, really loved.
Hmm.
But, it's a very different lens coming out of residency where things can kind of feel affirmed and championed, where when you're going hard, not sleeping a lot, I was really proud of the fact that I never called Jeopardy or called in sick.
Hmm.
And it kind of felt like this badge of honor to be able to kind of, push yourself through normal human needs. But as I was kind of in this in between state from residency and looking at attendinghood, I was just like, I don't know this doesn't feel right. Like I was kind of seeing myself headed towards a burnout state
Right.
because I didn't have the resources at the time to be able to sustain myself in that environment. And I felt like I was going to have to choose between being kind of a martyr for the system or getting a little bit more comfortable with providing the type of care that I didn't think was optimal for my
Mm-hmm.
patients,
Mm-hmm.
just in order to survive. But I was having a hard time managing the expectation of this path. And I felt like I was going to let a lot of people down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody knew how much I loved the general and had a very close connection to my patients there. But a piece of advice that I got during that process was from a great mentor at the general who said, you don't have to pick the job that you're going to be in for the next 10, 20 years. Pick the job that you need for the next 5 years.
Hmm.
And this idea of like figuring out actually what it is that you need and being intentional about that. And so when I sat down and thought about it, I was just like, I need more money.
Mm-hmm.
I need more sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I realize like I am not someone who can work evenings and nights and have that be sustainable for me. My sleep just doesn't allow for that.
Okay.
And at the same time, you know, I was coming up on student loan repayment,
Mm-hmm.
and that was going to be a really big deal. And, you know, as I was able to kind of name what it is that I needed, I realized that there was another job that could meet those needs better.
Mm.
And that was the job at the VA.
Mm.
So that was the first piece of advice, is just find the job that you need.
Okay.
And that worked out really well. So I took my job at the VA in 2019, and then not even a year later, the pandemic hit. And within that same year, as I talked about before, my grandmother had a stroke while I was at home visiting. And so what should have been like a week visit turned into a little over 2 months in Houston. And I remember feeling really anxious about being away from work for so long, especially as she came home on hospice. And there was a lot of uncertainty as to kind of what that process would look like and how long it would take for her to pass. And I was so worried that I actually had my roommate at the time ship me my laptop to
Mm.
Houston so I could see patients virtually in Houston while my grandmother was actively dying
Mm.
a couple rooms down. Another piece of advice I got that has really stuck with me is some advice I got from you,
Mm.
which I remember vividly. We were on the phone. At that time, I was upstairs in my grandfather's house. And you said something that I will never forget, which is, you are replaceable. I don't know if you remember telling me that,
I do.
but part of how these systems work is by kind of perpetuating the feeling that if you don't do it, nobody else will.
Right.
And, you know, hearing that statement from you, meaning that, you know, somebody else can do this and will pick up the ball. And even if you don't come back, someone will replace you. It gave me the strength and the perspective I needed to let that go to the side. And I'll also add that I had other mentors at my job in the VA who helped reinforce that
Mm-hmm.
and allowed me to be fully present in that space, which is absolutely what I needed to be.
Right.
Going forward, you know, as I've been continuing this role, you know, one of the things that I think is probably not news, especially to the general internists and family medicine folks, is that primary care is hard. It is a really hard job to sustain. And a
Yeah.
lot of the hours that are protected for you to work do not cover even half of the amount of work that happens after clinic and between patient visits.
Yep.
It's not a role that is easy to sustain without guardrails.
Right.
You know, I've gone through various phases of how to make it work for me and having to work through the guilt of figuring out what I need in order to make the job sustainable. And, you know, that's kind of what brought me to this period of time away.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not to say that I was feeling burnt out or devastated in my role, but recognizing that, you know, my role as a physician is not the entirety of who I am.
Correct.
And reading Rest is Resistance and kind of going through that, it reminded me of what I saw growing up, and particularly my mom, who is in 2 weeks about to retire from her job as a nurse after a 35-year plus career.
Siobhan.
And Siobhan, man, and she was one of the people who I saw like just working herself to the point of exhaustion.
Mhm.
And no shade, a lot of our folks and especially our ancestors had to do this out of necessity. And for my
Right.
mom, it's also a point of just devotion to her work and her patients.
Right.
But one of the things that I've been working through, and this is, my final point of advice, which came to me from my therapist,
Okay.
is, this idea of, living from a point of instinct versus intuition.
Mm.
My instinct is to survive. It's to work as hard as I can, accumulate as many resources as I can in order to feel the sense of stability. But also, it comes from a place of scarcity, this perpetual fear of not having enough, and particularly for me, not being enough. And this idea that if I just work harder, then I'll feel better.
Mhm.
But when I allow myself to tap into my intuition,
Right.
I know that's not true.
Right.
I know that I have what I need, and I know that I am equipped with a choice
Right.
for how I move in this world, and a choice that is not bent on me needing to survive by working to the point of exhaustion. I say all this to say, like, I know this is an iterative process, and, it reminds me kind of what you said earlier in terms of just, these things that feel like so big in the moment, these decisions, or, what feels like a setback is only a blip
Yep.
in the timeline of your career and your humanity.
Yep.
And so I'm really trying to kind of build on these lessons and create the type of life
Yeah.
that is not just sustainable, but like beautiful and loving, and allows me to thrive in a way that my ancestors never didn't necessarily get the choice to.
Yep. Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Wow. I think the part about this entire reflection is dope that at such a young age you are thinking about that now. Because, a lot of times when you're young, you don't really think about what something can do to you over time because everything seems kind of sustainable while you can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you realize that, that eventually, cars break down, if
Hmm.
they just keep driving and driving and driving and driving without ever getting put in a garage. So I think that part is important. I think the other piece, when you mentioned about the day we had the conversation about you being replaceable, I think the important piece of that story that I don't know if people know for sure, they probably sort of intimated, but you are replaceable to your job. That's where you're
Great.
replaceable. No, and that's important, right?
Yeah.
I remember, and I think I had told you this back then that like years ago, there was a colleague of mine who worked here and who was just extraordinary in every way, like just super like decorated with every teaching award we had, loved, 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 held every leadership, in medical education role you could have in the department. And then, had some unexpected life changes that caused this person to leave. And it was sudden. But they were the kind of person that was so woven into the fabric of Emory that I thought to myself, basically, if this person ever leaves, we would just be like shook. Bottom line is they left, and within about 6 months, we got new residents and they did not know this person. And now, it's been probably like a decade, but they don't know who the person is.
Hmm.
Their name doesn't come up. But when I tell you this person was everything to our system, but it didn't take but like 3 months for it to be very clear to me that you are replaceable and that, even if you're a great teacher, if you're an innovative teacher, somebody else is going to step in and do that. If you're great with patients, somebody else is going to be great with your patients. But you are not replaceable to your family. The people that love you and that you are like in partnership with or raising or blood related to or who are your chosen family, those are people like if you don't show up, they will miss you. They will miss
Hmm.
you. There's no Jeopardy schedule to call in another mommy or another sister or another
Yeah.
Ashley. It just isn't. So the sooner you recognize that, you got to keep the main thing, the main thing. And I think the one other thing too in that same thing is that just as we were talking about joy and pain, there are
Yeah.
non-repeatable life events that happen. Some of them very joyful, some of them very, very heartbreaking. But you got to be present. You got to be present. And you can't just be physically present. You got to be locked all the way in,
Yep.
or you'll be left with regret. And if you're
Mm.
left with regret, that that's what really starts to mess you up and burn you out. And I loved your point about instinct versus intuition,
Intuition.
because
Yeah.
when you're just trying to survive all the time, you miss an opportunity to really lean into a life that includes free will and includes the context of who you are and what you need right now. Because, what your intuition tells you in your 30s may look different in your 50s.
Hmm.
What's really, really important to you now might not be really, really important to you later. It could be something completely, completely different. And I do find myself thinking that it's okay to be a little selfish about what my needs are, because this is the life that I was given. These very important people whose steps were ordered into my life are here for a reason, and they're a part of this life that I was given. And that is my priority.
Hmm.
And I have to make sure that part's okay because I can't do my job over here if it's not. And I'm not telling people to just, start telling everybody like, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. Or like, yeah, I don't want to do nights. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. There are things that you can do for a temporary period of time, but you also got to know yourself. And if you feel on the edge of burnout and you get ready to take a job that has the potential to burn you out further, something is going to give. So, I mean, that's a very personal thing where you are at a particular time in your life. You got to
Hmm.
decide what that is and what that looks like. So, I love that. I think this is a great thing for people to be hearing, especially now.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that insight. And again, it was really guided by like a lot of good wisdom and advice that I got. A lot of it had to do with giving myself permission.
Hmm.
And in doing that, I was able to show up better, both for my patients and later on, like for my family and now for myself
Yep.
in ways that would have been hard instinctually to know how to do.
Yep. Yep. And you know what? I even think people's relationship with work and their career, that can vary from person to person. You could
Hmm.
actually be a person who is very, very good at your job, but you work to live.
Hmm.
You don't live to work. But there's some people, their job is a big part of their identity, who they are, what brings them joy, and is extremely important. So the capacity and the clip at which they do their paid job, it folds a lot into identity, and what can seem like a lot of work for them is intuition, is a necessity for them to live and thrive.
Yeah.
I have a colleague who I went to medical school with, and she is just one of these people that likes a mess and likes to fix it
Yeah.
and wants the ball. I mean, she wants
Hmm.
the ball. I mean, she wants the ball in the most high stakes, ball at the buzzer moments. Yolanda Wimberly, she is exceptional in every way. But I actually think of, when I think of her and how she works and everything, I also see it as fluid with who she is.
Yes.
It's all
Yes.
of sort of it's kind of the way she shows up in our sorority and in our alumni associations and stuff like that. Some people, it's just part of who they are. But it is actually perfectly acceptable for you to do your job very, very, very well. And that be something you do to live.
Hmm.
And that be it. That's all right. But we do
Yeah.
not permit people to do that very often in medicine.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
we act like you copping out. If you have not, like, if you're not up every weekend thinking about medical stuff, or if you at a party and somebody come and want to start talking medicine, you don't want to do that. That doesn't mean you're not good at your job and you don't like your job. It just means
Yeah.
why we just can't talk about Michael B. Jordan winning the Academy Award. I mean, can we talk about
Thank you.
that?
this is such an important point, and particularly making that distinction of what the medical culture often does to us, but also like the importance of not comparing, because I think that the people who intuitively kind of thrive in kind of that hard work, high stakes environment, sometimes you look at that and you feel like, oh, that's what I should be, or that's how I should feel.
Mhm.
And what we need is for everybody to know who they are, what they need, and and again, recognizing that'll shift over time, but the work is deeply personal, and everybody is not going to intuitively thrive in the same environments, and nor should the expectation
Yeah,
be that.
and a lion's share of sometimes where you are giving of yourself outside of your family and your personal life, it might not be work.
Mm-hmm.
There are, sort of vocations that are like callings that automatically demand a little more of you. I would definitely say, being a physician, being a teacher, those are things that kind of call for a little bit more, but it's still a wide spectrum of what that looks like. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. We've heard people say it over and over and over again. So I am definitely learning to know where my boundaries are. Like actually here, for example, so I love to try to help people get into medical school. I love it. But my ministry for helping you get into medical school, I either need to start with you when you are like a freshman in college. But you cannot call me like right when you're in your senior year and unless you have a really excellent, already excellent application or something.
Mm-hmm.
When someone reaches out to me and they are really behind the eight ball, the level of work and effort and elbow grease and time and attention it will take is something that is beyond my capacity and my bandwidth
Yeah.
do and still like see about myself and still, make sure that the things I need to do at my job are okay. So so now I create that boundary. When you're a Black American physician, people will reach out to you immediately. And I want to know, like, who's asking? What is your GPA? What have you been doing so far? And, if I'm not the person to help you, that's where I draw my boundary. It's okay to
Yeah.
draw some boundaries on what you're not doing. And so sometimes
Yeah.
that looks like a sabbatical where you go to
Mm-hmm.
Hawaii and go places and do things you need to do to fill your cup. Other times it looks like an away message in your email so that people don't keep messaging you. And other times it looks like taking your email off of your phone
Yep.
so you won't look at it to create what you need so that you can sustain doing the things that you're supposed to do.
That part.
Yep. I love that. I love that because you only been given this one life
Mm.
and you better try to work that thing out best you can.
Man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
You are replaceable. There is no job that anybody has that they cannot be replaced. Even the business you create,
Mm.
once it gets created, if somebody knows the inner workings and trappings of it, you've heard of these people creating things and then the board votes them off.
Well, that is always so wild to me.
It is, but it
But
is just another reminder
mm-hmm.
that you are only irreplaceable by the people you love the most.
Mm.
Everywhere else, where they like paying you a paycheck to be there and a contract, it's somebody
Yeah.
else that could step in. It'll be inconvenient for a minute, but
Yep.
just a minute.
Well, one colleague who I know is absolutely irreplaceable is you on this podcast. And thankfully, the two of us will be
Mm.
sustaining this podcast
Mm-hmm.
live from the Society of General Internal Medicine meeting.
Claro que sí.
Yes.
We will be there recording live on the Thursday, so please come and check out your girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even if you have been the last 2 years to hear us, we would love to see you there again. If you've never joined us, join us. We have some really, really exciting things to talk about. We don't know what those things are yet.
Good. I'm glad. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
We would love, love, love if y'all could be there. But also, if you have not yet registered for this for the SGIM meeting, and you're one of our academic nerds out there, or Gen Med peeps, um, go on and get that registration in. You missed the early bird thing, but you still need to come.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be lit. All right. Well, sis, um, it's been real.
Mm-hmm. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it's been real fun actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, no, you are not replaceable to me,
Mm.
but somebody somewhere is seeing patients at the San Francisco VA right now, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, and
Yes.
they probably miss you, but it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be okay when you get back.
Amen.
Hmm. I know that's right. You said rest is rep.
Resistance.
Oh, okay. I said rest is reparations.
And reparations. That part too.
Low
Shoot.
key, rest is reparations.
It is. It is. That is part of the manifesto.
Power to the people and power to us, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sis, I love you.
Love you too.
All right, holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!